And welcome into another post-game edition of Spits and Suds. We like to do these after as many games as we can to kind of give you a quick recap. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan. Tomorrow on Spits and Suds, we'll give a longer post-game recap with Sean Shapiro of EP Ringside. Shap Shots does an amazing job covering the NHL. So we'll go in depth with Sean on this Stars team, some more. Talk about tonight's 4-0 shutout loss, and we'll also go around the NHL. A lot of news happening. We will touch on Nino Niederreiter signing a 3-year contract. He'll be staying in Winnipeg, so we'll see Mr. Niederreiter on a very team-friendly deal and a good deal for him, a 3-year, $12 million contract. So good for Nino and good for the Winnipeg Jets. So the forward sticking around up north, and we'll be seeing him for time to come. So that's a little NHL news, interdivision NHL news. Stars lose 4-0 tonight, and it's just one of those games I tweeted out earlier, and it's like, if you're expecting the 8-1 game, I got news for you. Victor Hedman playing in his 1,000th career game, and to understand Victor Hedman's presence in the Tampa market and Victor Hedman's presence on the team as a team leader, all around amazing person, great room guy, Norris Trophy candidate year after year. I mean, he just personifies what hockey's all about in Tampa. So when he reaches that 1,000 game level, you could hear the crowd throughout the night get into it. So the barn was going to be a little amped up tonight. And you know what? Kudos to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They had a team meeting yesterday, basically responded, and I thought they played a real good game tonight. As for the Stars, I'm going to be real honest with you. I mean, I could sit down and break down every game, but the reality is I think this team's too one-dimensional. And I know you could say, Gavin, they're 1 point out in the Central Division. They're playing well on the road. They just won 8-1. I get all those things. And when the Stars are scoring and when they're streaking, they light up the scoreboard real fast. But it's these situations, whether it's comebacks by Colorado, another comeback by the Calgary Flames, or tonight, where they fall behind and they just can't catch up and they just can't seem to gain any kind of sustained traction in the game, that you say, okay, if one thing isn't working, what else can they do? And you might say to yourself, well, Gavin, you know what? What you're about to say doesn't work with analytics. I get it. And I understand, but this is hockey. And at sometimes, you have to put the analytics to the side and say, where's my energy creator? Where is the guy tonight that is going to stir it up in front of the net? Andrei Vasilevsky was terrific. And for anyone to think that Andrei Vasilevsky was done after his performance on Saturday, have to understand he's coming off back surgery. He's just getting back into the flow after missing, I believe, 27 games. But this guy is not just one of the best goalies in the league. This guy's one of the greatest NHL goalies of all time. He is in that category of greatest goalies of all time. So therefore, to expect Andrei Vasilevsky not to bounce back, I think you needed a better Stars effort. And, they had chances against Vasilevsky, and he came up massive. The one turning point, if there was a turning point in the game, was, in the first period, clock winding down 1-0 at 5:23 left in the first. A minute 21 in the Tampa zone. That's a lot. You talk about long shifts. That was a graveyard shift for the Tampa Bay Lightning in their own zone. Multiple chances by the Stars. Stars actually changed and intertwined lines, getting fresh legs on the ice. Rupe Hintz was one of them, was found, had a great one-time chance. Quick wrister, Vasilevsky with the big save. I mean, he probably made in that minute 21 span 2 or 3 terrific saves. He was great all night. But what do you do when your opposing goalie is on? You create havoc in front of the net. So Stars, like power play wise, I mean, just wasn't there. I mean, talk about, you can't be ineffective if you can't go on the power play. So it was just, 0 for 2. Tampa was 0 for 2. Wasn't a heavily called game, but you just couldn't get into a rhythm tonight. And let's see how they come out Wednesday against a really good Florida team and Thursday against a Washington team that's fighting for a playoff spot and playing much better since the start of the year. It comes down to defensive lapses as well. The first goal, how do you leave Nikita Kucherov wide open in the middle? Came from behind the net, no one trailing him, no one covering him, easily found, turns around, up 1-0. And I just watched that, and if you watch the whole play, it's like he disappears and then just reappears with no star around him. So defensive lapse there.
I'm Corey Mason, CEO for DSC. Join us at the Kay Bailey Hutchison Convention Center in Dallas this January for the finest hunting opportunities in gear, one-of-a-kind art, jewelry, clothing, and much more. Your ticket to this fabulous event will further the mission of conservation, education, and advocacy initiatives right here and around the world. Visit us online at biggame.org and purchase your tickets. The DSC Convention and Sporting Expo is January 11th through the 14th in Dallas. I'll see you there.
Another defensive lapse. Only 139 left, and this was kind of a dagger because the Stars had just gone on that major shift. I thought they were playing well, kind of gaining some momentum. But Cernak, as a D-man, very aggressive moving in, puts it in front. Chiarelli beats Pavelski to the inside, 2-0. But how does a defenseman get that deep without being touched? And that's where my conversation leads to. I mentioned this the other day, and I actually told Gregory Finley, our producer, it's like, I feel like I'm the only one at times that talks about this. But Miro Heiskanen was -3 tonight on the ice. 24 minutes played. His line mate, Ryan Suter, was -4. 3 shots on the night. How many defensive rushes into the Tampa zone did you see from Miro Heiskanen? Like we saw from Cernak on that goal. We're just not seeing a Miro Heiskanen that is electric. And the reason I keep harping on this is because he's one of your key players. He's the guy that is upper tier as far as salary as well. And yes, he logs a lot of minutes. But if you look at that defensive rush, had he just moved out a little bit more and put any kind of body out there, I think that goal is prevented. But I'm seeing a lot of waving of the stick. I'm seeing losing pucks. This just is not the Miro Heiskanen that we're used to seeing. I know his teammates have to step up, but at the same time, there are times where you have to take over the game. Hughes takes over the game. Makar takes over the game. Hedman takes over the game. I need Miro Heiskanen to take over a game. The other thing I wanted to point out is we can talk about referees and Stars not going on the power play, but at the same time, effort creates power play opportunities. You got to go hard into the boards. You got to win puck battles. You got to out hustle because that's how you get tripped. That's how you get slashed because they're falling behind. I just didn't see that. I didn't see the breakout speed. And when they're not utilizing that speed and when the offense is kind of stifled, I don't know if they can get back into many games because they're not using their physicality ever. Like physicality on this team, as far as like big checks to rile up the team and rile up, it's just not there. So, I mean, it's still early. They're still only 1 point behind the Central. They're in the playoffs, but I'm just looking long term, and I'm just seeing kind of a one-dimensional team, which creates inconsistency. They're very good on the road, but tonight, Tampa was clearly the better team. As far as in net, I thought Jake Ottinger made some terrific saves. Maybe the one goal he'll probably want back is our old friend Luke Glendening, who got it by him on a backhand before crashing into the net. Ottinger was pretty slow to get up. And by the way, on that, and maybe this is too old school, I kind of would have hung around because I don't like other people crashing into the net. Granted, he was kind of tripped, but at the same time, wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of that chippiness. So Stars lose 4-0. Back at it again. Tough week. Wednesday, Florida. Thursday, travel to Washington. Saturday, back here for a tilt against Vegas. So real tough week, for the Stars. And I think we can all see they need some defensive help. And finally, what we want to talk about is, once again, Evgeny Dadonov and Nils Lundqvist healthy scratched again. I appreciate Joel Hanley. I mean, I think he's fine out there, but I want better than fine. I want to see what Nils Lundqvist is about. So what's being talked about is that the NHL is not a place where you learn to play the game. That's basically what's being said about Lundqvist. And we'll ask Sean about this tomorrow, but my point is this. If you don't believe that, then why did you spend a first-round pick on a guy that was back and forth between the minors and being healthy scratched in New York? You got to play him. I mean, you wasted a first-round draft pick if not. I'm okay with Nils Lundqvist making some mistakes if it means he gets better in the future. So I'm really hoping that we see him on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm a big Ty Dellandrea fan. I want to see him get regular minutes, but you saw in that third period that he got bumped down to that fourth line. If you want to keep him on that fourth line and bring back Dadonov, because that line tonight didn't really do much for me, I'm totally okay with that move. And if that means that, you have to scratch Sam Steele, so be it. We'll see what happens, and we'll see how Pete DeBoer reacts as far as if they'll make changes Wednesday or Thursday. If they come out with the same lineup Wednesday and they struggle again, I would expect some changes on Thursday. So just wanted to give you a quick Spits and Suds post game as the Stars drop in shutout fashion. Andrei Vasilevsky comes up big for Tampa tonight by the score of 4-0. So the schedule is as follows. We'll have Sean Shapiro on tomorrow. We'll get Luds on later this week. We'll continue to talk Stars with you. Thanks so much for your feedback. Really appreciate it. The likes, the comments, it's all making a difference. And we appreciate you helping us grow Spits and Suds. Have a great night, everyone.